Dan, you can be with me. I could show you exactly what we do and how we use Espresso Agent, and then how I use this to hold call expireds and for sale by owners. The first thing I want to go over is that, yes, we are still calling for sale by owners, and some of my team members are still calling expireds. So I'm going to start with for sale by owners only because I have tried calling for sale by owners in this market. And the way that it's worked is I had to change my approach quickly. So one of the things that we do often is we're able to change our approach verbally quickly, because we're doing this on a daily basis. So you'll have some people out there, coaches or people that are just a little bit out of touch as to what they're telling you what to do, because they're not practicing, right? The difference is I'm practicing this on a daily basis. So yes, I'm calling for sale by owners. And the one thing I noticed is that they were irritated at first when we were calling. So the first thing that we're asking, when you're going to pick up your phone and call your for sale by owners, we get a list in the morning. Every morning, Espresso Agent sends us an email, and we click it, and then it shows us everything that every new for sale by owner, every new expired, and then it's like its own database on the back end. So we just dial from there, and I call for sale by owners first, and then I call expireds. So this is my approach when I'm calling a for sale by owner. Dan, you're my for sale by owner, okay? And you're on 123 Main Street, and we're gonna play it off, buddy. Like if I'm calling you, and look, don't be too mean, but you know, you could be you, right? Be you. Guys, I want you to take notes, because what I'm going to talk to you about in the last one that we did, Bill Crespo and I came up with this, and I thought it was amazing. So here we go, Dan. I'm calling you up. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, who's this?
Hey, Dan, this is Tristan with Keller Williams Realty. I saw your property listed as a for sale by owner. I just want to know if it's still available, because some of the people were calling, they left it on for a while, and you know, COVID-19 and all, they didn't want to sell.
Yeah, you know what? I've tried working with an agent before. It didn't really work out that great. I'm kind of going my own route right now.
Oh, okay. So you're telling me that it is still for sale?
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
trying to sell it myself. Yeah.
Great, man. Great. Well, look, I'm calling all of the for sale by owners locally, only to let them know how we're proceeding in real estate, how we're showing property, and how we're selling them, because it's helping them out. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to email you a list of the things that we're using, all the tech and the contract that we're using, just to keep everybody safe and aware of the current state that we're in. It's actually a program we called, it's called EHC. We just created it specifically for this situation, and it's equity, health, and contract. But when we go over there, it'll show you the virtual tours that we do. It'll even give you the camera that we're using. So if you want to use it, go right ahead. We'll connect you to the right person. It shows you what we're doing virtually, and then how we use Zoom to do tours, right? It tells you all of that. And then we'll also connect you to title and escrow officers, so that at least you know who's working and who understands the current market. Dan, is your email Dan at danmarine.com?
Yep, that's it.
Awesome, man. Then look for that, and I'll send it over to you. How long do you plan on trying to sell it for yourself before you go to an agent, if you're going to go that route?
I think I'd like to give it at least another 3 months or so.
All right. And have any agents that have been calling, have they been going over any specific programs, like I said, the EHC program that I have here?
No, they just been trying to tell me that they can do a better job than me.
Oh, yeah, well, look, we do it a little differently, and you may hear that too, but we focus on equity, health, and contract. So the equity, yes, we're still trying to get you the most money as possible in this market. And what that means is we've shifted over to the type of marketing that we're doing, right? We focus more on virtual tours, 3D tours, and a lot more showings virtually, like through Zoom. I'm sure you've heard of Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So things like that. And then when it comes to health, we're not being overly ambitious, but we are taking care of all of our clients, in the sense that if your area, because it's by county here, if your area is still allowing people to go in your homes, we're taking all precautions. We have a checklist of things that we need to do, like gloves, masks, and cleaning supplies, and so forth. And lastly, we're still taking our clients through contracts. I know that some escrow companies, some title companies, and even some lenders have stopped working and haven't adjusted, but we have a list of the ones that are, so we can take you through those whole processes and make sure that at least the contract is in place so you don't get in trouble. Does that sound something you'd be interested in, man?
It sounds interesting. I definitely would like to look at what you're planning on emailing me first, for sure.
Awesome. I'll send that over to you. And then what I'll do is I'll follow up with you. And if you've got about 10 minutes, you don't have to leave your house. We can do it through Zoom. I'll show you exactly what I do. And if it's something good for you, then at least we can talk some more. That sound good?
That sounds like a plan.
Awesome, man. So guys, that's what I'm doing. And it's been working. Again, very, very low key. I'm coming from a point of contribution, and it's been working really, really well. So somebody asked, Ken asked, what is your data source for sale by owners and expireds? I'm using, look behind me, I'm using Espresso Agent, right? That is not a cafe company or a coffee company. It is, that's what it's called, Espresso Agent, right? They're supposed to give you that juice that you need in the morning, but Espresso Agent. Now, hold on, I'm getting some questions here. Evie Del Castillo, can you send that script and info? Evie, it's all in my head, but I can write it down for you and send it to everybody that came through. What does EHC stand for? So, Dennis, when Bill and I think, Dan, you were on that call, maybe, I don't remember, in the background.
I'm not sure.
So, Bill Crespo and I, who works for Espresso, we did one of these webinars a couple of weeks ago. And we were going back and forth in the mastermind. And together we came up with this EHC program in this sense. What we know has stood out, and I'll go over this whole process. What we know has stood out is this. When you make a special program specific to a current situation or to you, all of a sudden it sounds special, right? It stands out. Now you're different. Like Dan says, well, you know, this is different, right? When I was going back and forth. And so what you want to do is create whatever that is for you. For Bill and I, when we were going back and forth, we thought, well, equity, that's important. People need to know that they're still going to make the most money on their home right now. Is this possible? Number one. Number two, we needed to touch on the current situation, which was health. Well, how are we proceeding during COVID-19? What are the steps? Do you have a checklist? Am I protected? I don't want people in my home, right? Unless you have a plan. So equity, health, and then the last one is contract. We're just making sure and letting them know, hey, look, it's still, that part is still business as usual on our part because we're taking care of you. We're making sure all disclosures are there. We're making sure that the contract is still moving forward, whether it's from the buyer, you, the seller, escrow, title, lender, inspections, everything, disclosures. And so that's why we named it EHC. Now you can name it whatever the hell you want. I don't care, right? The point is, it's important that you create some type of a special program to market because this is what's going to set you apart. It's not going to set you apart if you say, I'm different. Dan, I'm different. What does that look like? What do you do differently? I don't know. I'm just different, you know?
No, you're trying to think of how you're there taking care of us or your potential client too, differently.
And so Dan, now that I hung up with you, what got you was like, well, interesting. You're going to help me and you're going to send me an email as to the exact things you're going to do, right? Or what tech I can use. And it's pretty easy, guys. I send them, number one, I send them a link to the website, which everybody has. Number two, all of our properties have virtual tours through Matterport. So if you don't own a Matterport, you can get what's called an Aster Room. I'll type it in the link there. But an Aster Room is a less expensive version of Aster Room virtual tour. It's a less expensive version of Matterport. It's like $50 or $60. Very, very inexpensive. And then you pay per tour so that they can make this dollhouse type of thing. And so what I do is that's part of the email. I say, look, here's the website so they can see the pictures and that people can see it. If we run a video, we can send them the video as well. But more important to me is showing the Matterport and then showing them the camera, giving them the link to the camera for Matterport, which cost how much? Like $4,000, right? That's the one I send them, because they're like, wow, that's a massive investment in a 3D tour, but here it is, Tristan does it, right? The next thing I do is I give them the numbers to escrow, title, and my lenders, everybody that works with me. So if they do reach out to them, right, they're like, hey, Tristan sent me. And they're like, oh yeah, Tristan's awesome. So those are some things that I'm sending their way so that people can see that business is still functioning just differently, right? And then I also send them a checklist of the things that we do in regards to the health that we're watching out for, the gloves that we use, the masks that we use, the clean down process that we do, all of that is included. And then lastly, I send them the contract. Now this is different per county and per state, guys, but it's different. Every area has a 1-page or a 2-page contract that shows exactly how we're working around COVID-19. And that's what I send as well, because a lot of these sellers who are still selling as a for sale by owner have no clue that they need to include some type of a disclosure, right? Which helps us out. And Paul's asking, so the homeowner produces the virtual tour? No, they don't. They don't produce the virtual tour. If I'm talking to the for sale by owner, I'm giving them the link just in case they want to do it on their own. The purpose of that is for me to give them value, to show, hey guys, this is how you can do it. These are all the tools I use, and everybody that's involved in this conversation, right? Lender, title, escrow, tools, tech, everything. But I do this all for you already, right? Why go through the hassle when you can just use me? So that's the process. And there were a couple of questions that I missed. You guys got the EHC thing. I need a yes or a no, just so I don't need to go over that again. And how much is the espresso service? You know what? Let me put up the link up there, guys, because
I just dropped it in there too.
Oh, for espresso? Mm-hmm. Sweet. Thank you. And so did you put the lab coat agents one in there? Because we've got 2 different ones. And I think
did it again.
Awesome, guys. We'll put that up there. And then, so that's the approach for sale by owners. And the one thing that people keep on telling me, and I keep on hearing this over and over again, it's like, well, why are you calling for sale by owners right now? That's like hardcore sales. You shouldn't be doing that. Look, in some states, I know it's illegal, so don't call. I'm not telling you to call in those states. But in the states that it's not, right, there's a reason I'm calling. Dan, let's just say Dan is a for sale by owner. He put up his home for sale. He's telling everybody, hey guys, I want to sell right now during COVID-19. I'm going to sell, and I'm trying to find a buyer. So if I approach this in the sense that, hey Dan, I think I can help you by at least giving you the right process on how to approach this world with my special program, that's already completely different than the type of calls he's receiving. Because everybody's still stuck with the same scripts, right? Hey Dan, this is Tristan with Keller Williams Realty. I'm just calling because I saw your home up for sale. Is it still for sale? Great. I'm just wondering, when are you going to pick the right agent to list your home, right? What the hell is that? Nobody wants to hear that crap right now. Get that out of your system. It's time to approach this differently. You have to be more socially aware of what's happening and how to implement that into your scripts, right? So hold on. They didn't see the link. Let me put the link up there one more time, guys. I'm going to grab it right here. Guys, take a look at them. They have a special deal. Now, the cool thing with Espresso Agent, and then I'll go into expireds. And remember, I'm calling a lot more for sale by owners than I am expireds, but I have both. And so the cool thing with Espresso Agent is that it's almost like a CRM of its own. And what we do now, when we were functioning in a normal world, what I would do is I would call them up and I would post them up into all of these expireds. So the biggest challenge is consistency, Dan. When it comes down to you being successful as a for sale by owner, calling for sale by owners and calling expireds, it comes down to one thing. And that one thing is consistency. Consistency in calling and consistency in following up. If you look at all of the for sale by owners out there that we get from Espresso Agent and you look, yeah, some of them back out and like they no longer want to test the market out. But a lot of these 30 days after, they list. right? And they list with the agent that's connecting with them more. The difference is about between Espresso and Red X, from my experience, and I've used both. I've actually used all of them. Is that Espresso gives me better data. That's what it comes down to for me, for my area. Now, I'm in Los Angeles, Ventura County, and that's what I've noticed for me. So I'm going to go and show you really quick how we process this. And remember, I get all of my data from Espresso Agent, and as I call, let's say I call Dan, right? I'm going to share my screen with you, and I may lose you, and I may blow your mind right here, but this is what we use. We use Trello to keep track of everything. Now, this is pre-COVID-19. This is how we tracked it, because I would go to their homes for sale by owners and expireds, okay? Here we go. Dan, tell me if you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Okay. Guys, this is how I track expireds and for sale by owners. I don't know anybody else who does this. And if they do this, it's because they've seen my videos. I posted this video out 3 years ago just to show the processes. And here you can see I'm going to go for Westlake Village. I've got stop bys and nurtures, short nurtures and calls in Westlake, same area, right? And long nurtures for Westlake, and then hot sellers. So now I only covered 2 areas for this for sale by owners and expireds. It's Westlake, Westlake Village, and Malibu. That's it. You can see the same thing for Malibu, right? Malibu stop by and nurtures. Let's go into Malibu just because we're here. Dan, can you still see this?
I got you.
All right, so Trello is free, guys. You could just use this. I get all of my data from Espresso, and this is the process that I use. Dan, I'm going to call you. You and I talk and engage, and I don't just spam people that I don't reach. That's the #1 rule that my whole team uses. We only touch on people that have talked to us and have agreed to receive our emails or further communication. So you see with Dan, when I said, Dan, is it okay if I email you? And is this your email address? He said, yes. Good, right? Now I'm not breaking any rules. I'm not violating any type of rules to communicate. So now I'll give you a story here. This is Bob Feinberg, right, in Malibu. And I'm not going to open it up because it has all his details in there, and I don't want to show you the details. So Bob here, I'm calling Bob, and Bob is an expired in Malibu. And when I show up to his property, after I talk to him, I'm like, hey, Bob, this is Tristan with Keller Williams Realty. Hey, I'm calling on your property because it shows that it's no longer on the market. Are you still looking to sell, or did you just remove that property? And he's like, no, Tristan, I just took that property off. I'm going to remodel it. This is my conversation with him. I'm like, oh, awesome, Bob. So what are you going to remodel, and when do you think you'll be finished to put it back on the market? Well, he said, let me tell you a story, right? Now, guys, I start my conversations all like that. Hey, Bob, how are you doing? This is Tristan. Oh, great, Tristan. I actually pause, and I take time to say hello, right? Because for me, it really pisses me off when people go right into it and don't give me a chance to say hello, right? And so I'm giving that courtesy back to them. So I say hello, they say hello. If they cut me off and hang up, great, I go to the next one, right? But those people that do want to talk to me, awesome. I love talking to them. Now, because I asked, and because of my tonality, guys, it has to do with scripts and tonality, right? Dialogue and tonality. You do both. Bob opened up. He said, dude, remember, they're from Malibu. Some of them say, dude, I've been living here for a while, and I bought this home from Charlize Theron. Right? This is a real story. And Charlize Theron lived here, and you know, people from Malibu, they want to tell you that they bought a home from a celebrity, right? Plus, sometimes it helps it sell. So he said, but the kitchen sucked. You know what, Tristan, if you got some time, stop by. I'm like, great, I'll stop by. And so when I stop by, I take a picture, right? That's the front of the home. Take a look at it, right? Then I go in, I buzz him right there. And he goes, it's open. He didn't know who the hell it was. So I'm like, okay, I'll go in. So I go in. He's like, he's yelling at me, I'm in the kitchen. I'm like, okay. And it's like open slide doors. I'm in. He's like, hey, how can I help you? And he didn't even know it was me. I'm like, dude, we talked a little bit ago. And I'm like, oh, he's like, oh yeah, Tristan, dude, come on in. Let me show you what I'm doing. So he takes me through the home, tells me the price of the home, what he had it listed for, then goes and shows me everything that he's going to change up. And he goes, and I'm thinking of selling it for more, like 10 million. I'm like, no, dude, you had a problem selling it at the price you had it for. Just because you remodel this and that doesn't mean you're going to get a few $1,000,000 more, right? But I didn't tell him that. I said, so how did you come up with those numbers, right? Can I go through that process with you just so I understand, right? And so as we talk, we get further and further. Look, I also have other things in there. When I talk to people, I also send them note cards, written note cards like this, right? And I update this. But the thing is, I follow up Malibu stop by nurture and short nurture and calls. And then there are some listings that I don't get, guys. So, and then there are hot sellers, right? Sellers that I've been with talking to for a long time. Look at this one. 2017, I've had this one. So there's a lot of things that I do here. And I just need you to understand that it's a process. And this process is in place so that I don't screw up. Because the number one thing to my success when it comes to for sale by owners and expireds is the consistency. Consistency in reaching out to them the first time and consistency in the follow-up. For sale by owners list quicker, expireds take a little bit of a longer time. And the script changes between newer expireds because they're being blown up to older expireds. Now, my approach to expireds at the very beginning, Dan, when I call expireds, and guys listening in, when I call expireds, yes, I answer the question. I do get it from Espresso Agent expireds and for sale by owners. Can you post up that link in there, Dan, again at the bottom?
Sure.
Because I got a question on Facebook for that. When I'm calling expireds, I'm also considering this at the very beginning of my calls, which are usually 8 to 8:30. I'm trying to act fast. And even when I call, Dan, even when I call you at 8, sometimes in some areas, I'm still like second or third, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got another call before 8? He's like, yeah, somebody called me at 7:50. I'm like, all right, look, I don't call until 8 because that's the time we're allowed to call. Let me get some water. We're allowed to call. And I don't want you breaking any rules. If the number's on a do not call list, don't call, right? I know some other people out there who are like, yeah, call, do not call, and call this. I'm not telling you to get in trouble. I've been in the business since 2004, and there's plenty of ways to do this legally. And don't go that route. So can't see the link. Let me see here. Oh, Dan, you sent it up to all panelists only.
Okay.
Just switch that up. I'll post it up too. And so in your approach, I have to step back before I give you the approach on the script. One, guys, I'm calling, there's 2 different times. For new expireds, I need you to be reaching out to them as soon as possible. Now, the time that we're in right now, a lot more people are waking up later, right? But still, our time to call, I only have a 30-minute span. Because if I call at 8:45 a.m. or 9 a.m., I'm already sometimes the 30th, 40th caller. And it's a lot, I have a lot more uphill to work on because people are just saying, no, hang up. They don't even give me a chance. So if I call between 8 to 8:30, which is our sweet spot, 8 o'clock being the best time, 8 to 8:10, I'm trying to reach as many people as possible in that span and talk and have quality conversations at that time. So Dan, if I call you first or second or third or fourth, I know we're going to have a great conversation. And I'm calling, I'm like, right. Hi, is this Dan? And you're like, yeah, this is Dan. Dan, you're an expired. Shoot.
All right.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Dan?
This is Dan. Who's this?
Hey, Dan, this is Tristan with Keller Williams Realty out here in Westlake Village, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Awesome, man. Look, I'm not sure if I'm the first caller or not, but you may have gotten a couple of other calls from agents. Have you?
You're the first today.
Oh, good. So expect about 50 more, okay? Your home just came onto our system and it shows that it's no longer for sale. Is that true, or did you remove it? What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm going through some relationship stuff, so things might be changing some up there.
Okay, and so did you decide to pull it off the market? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So once this is through and your relationship situation is fixed, if you're going to fix it, like, I don't know, Dan, but are you looking to put it back on the market maybe at the end of the year or next year? What are your plans, do you think?
Probably towards the end of this year. Yeah.
All right, cool, man. So let me do this, if it's okay with you, Dan. Like, I work in the area here, obviously, and you may have seen my name online, and I may be targeting you on Facebook or so. But if you haven't, at least I'd like to stay connected with you. I'll send you updates on your property, if the market goes up, if it goes down. Because like right now during COVID-19, a lot of people thinking, wow, prices must be going down a lot. And it's kind of the opposite, which is crazy. We're seeing multiple offers in this market if the home is priced well, which is nuts, right? So let me do this. As soon as we hang up, I'll text you so you know it's me. And then I'll email you so we can stay in touch. And this way, if you have any questions or you decide that you want to do something sooner, you let me know.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Awesome. Somebody says, don't be nice, be mean. So
I'm not good at being not nice.
Yeah, Dan is just a nice guy, guys. So, look, one thing you'll notice, and we'll see if we can do another one of these right now. But one thing you'll notice is I start off with a simple dialogue, guys. And yeah, it's never that easy. You're right. I have conversations, and I bring whoever I'm talking to down to a different level because I'm having real conversations. I started off with a simple dialogue, and because I'm calling between 8 to 8:30. Yes, I'm calling between 8 to 8:30, and then in the afternoon, I'm calling old expireds, and we get all that data from Espresso, right? Old expireds are a lot kinder. If I'm reaching out to Dan and he listed his home 2 years ago, he took it off a year ago and just sitting there, that conversation is going to be different. And it's going to be a lot easier for me to get through because he's not getting bombarded, right? So Dan, be a little bit meaner if you can, my friend.
I'll do my best.
And we'll do that. Hold on. Maisha has a good question. So question about retargeting and what it looks like from Espresso. Do you do that Facebook only and ad roll or show us? So great question. There's a couple of things we do. Because we get so much information from Espresso agent, what we do is if I've talked to them, I go into what you saw, the Trello board, and then I get a little bit deeper, right? Oh yeah, Dan can never be mean. That's so true, Carolyn. Very true. I go in deeper, and then I communicate with them. I use AM cards, so you might want to write this down. But AM cards has my drips, my actual written drips in card form. So I have urgent expireds and later expireds, and urgent for sub owners and later for sub owners. And what I do is, if I've talked to Dan, like I did, and I said, "Can I stay in touch with you?" I'm going to put him into that card drip, right? And let me go back to Trello, and I'll show you a home that I listed with this card drip, right? Just to show you how good the data is from Espresso too. Give me 1 second. Going back to the screen. So you see this property right here, Dan?
Yeah,
Let's see if
I see it.
Zoom in. All right, this one. All right. So let me zoom right there. Okay, this property right here. It's a mansion estate, massive. There's a fence. You see that fence? I went to the property and I took a picture because I couldn't get in. So I took it from the outside of the fence, right? And this was one person that I talked to one time, just like I talked to Dan. And because my tonality, because my approach is different, right? He talked to me for a little bit. He gave me his email address. He gave me his cell phone number. And I let it ride for 9 months. Okay, 9 months went by. And then all of a sudden, from nowhere, I get a text. And the text says, "Is this true?" And then a picture comes through. A picture with one of the cards that I send out, right, through the card service that I have. And when I read it, I had to zoom in to be like, yeah, well, hold on, is this true? What am I saying? Which card did you get? And it's just saying the way that we do marketing, and we approach it differently through international, right? And so I text her back and say, yes. Do you have some time tomorrow around 6 p.m. for me to stop by. That was it. And she said yes. That house we listed for $4.5 million. And it was an expired that took us 9 months to get. Right? So guys, if you don't have systems, I don't care what tool you have, nothing's going to work that you use. Nothing. And more importantly, if you're saying the wrong things, it's not going to work. Right now, more than ever, you've got to put a lot more heart into what you're saying. And scripts are there only to guide you at the beginning. People want to hear real conversations. The last thing they want to hear is somebody that's automated. That's the last thing you want to hear. The card service I'm using is AM cards, if you guys want to take a look at it. AM, like in the morning, AM cards. And I don't remember what it stands for. Dan, we had Curtis on a week ago. What the hell does AM card stand for? Automated marketing? Is it automated marketing?
It might be. I don't remember. I'm not 100%.
Well, take a look at that, guys. All my scripts are on there. So I combine both Espresso Agent and AM cards, right? And then I also do.
They've got it. Appreciation marketing.
Appreciation marketing.
There you go.
It should have been automated marketing. And guys, like if you do go on AM cards and team it up with Espresso, AM cards has all the drips. They're open to everybody, and they say they're my scripts. And if they don't, just tell them to turn them on. They're there. But look, when you start creating things that come from a point of being authentic and come from a point of caring and giving value and being less salesy, putting a lot more heart into this, people will listen and you'll make an impact, right? The last thing I want to do is steamroll through Dan. Hey, Dan, this is Tristan with Keller Williams Realty. I saw your home just came off the market. Are you still thinking of selling it, right? Or when are you thinking of choosing the right agent to list your home? To me, those are I hate those two scripts. Those are the worst. I'm tired of that crap. And as you do more and more for sale by owners, if you're using the same scripts over and over and over and over again in person or on the phone, the one thing you'll hear is, do you guys all go to the same school to learn this? When I heard that the first time years ago, I decided to change my scripts. I'm like, wow, that's terrible. And that's when I shifted. And then that's when I said, you know what? Let me approach this differently. I want to have conversations, and yeah, I want to lead with one dialogue and then listen. Just shut up and listen. And guys, that's what a lot of us are missing here. That's why a lot of us don't have success initially with for sale by owners or expireds, right? And any questions as we shift into this? Rosie, yeah, that should be the link, AM cards. Rosie already put the AM cards in there. And then also, guys, I'm going to put up the link again to Espresso Agent. So with Espresso Agent, the cool thing is most of the time we get cell phones, we get home numbers for sale by owners and expireds, and we also get the email addresses sometimes. When we get the email addresses, it's even better, because if I'm talking to Dan and I went that route and I'm like, hey, Dan, look, I'll send you that email with everything on there. Dan, is your email dan@danmurray.com, right? I'm like, yeah, that's it. So it's easier for me. And that's my little dog. If I don't have their email address, because that was one of the ones I didn't get, then I'm like, hey, Dan, let me email this over to you. What's the best email to use? So easy. Loretta, so is Espresso better than what my title agent can give me? 100%, Loretta. That's an easy one. Who else is asking a question? Shirley Coomer, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Do you approach cancel the same as expireds? Yeah, very similarly in my approach. But I want to know why they canceled, number one, and I want to shut up and listen. The last thing I want to do is push why I'm awesome, I'm amazing. Look, I know you canceled, but I can sell it. It's not about you. Listen, just shut up and listen, ask your question. No, what happened? Dan, what happened? Hey, Dan, this is Tristan with Keller Williams Realty. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, man, you're probably getting like 50 calls already, but I saw your home canceled, and that usually means that people take it off for a reason. Are you still thinking of selling the home, or did you just put that off indefinitely?
We are, but my wife and I think we just want to do a few things to the house first and kind of get a little better before putting it back on the market.
Awesome. All right, so that's very similar. Sometimes they go, and guys, look, in reality, sometimes they say, how'd you get my number? Who is this? And they hang up. That's okay. You go to the next one. Every call, we're only showing you the calls that go well so that you're prepared what to say. Because a lot of the times, this is what I hear, because some of the calls in some states are allowed to be recorded one-sided, and I get to hear those. And this is it. If the conversation goes past, they keep on talking, they don't know what to say because they never prepared that far ahead. And the reason that Dan and I go back and forth to see all the way through is so you can see how it looks to close as well, right? And then we have great dialogue going. So what do you think about, well, let me see some questions. Kathy says, have you been asked how you got their email? Yes, Kathy. I say I subscribe to a service and I get an email. I get all the information of every property that goes off the market. It really depends on how soft you answer that. So, and if anybody says, look, I'm on the do not call, I say, look, Dan, I'm so sorry. For some reason, it didn't appear on our end, but I will remove you and I'll have our team remove it as well. I'm sorry. So that's how I approach that. Roberta Shapiro says, what do you think about leading with a text message? No. Do not lead with a text message, Roberta. I know that some people do, but I prefer, and I've been doing this for a long time. This is expireds and for sale by owners and door knocking were the very first thing I did coming into this business. And that's how we've done 100 million in volume over and over and over again. Okay. So I have experience in this. I did test that out. And the challenge was that a lot of people, a lot of agents kept on doing it without getting permission to text. And you can get in trouble. I've seen some people in Florida, some agents in Florida get in trouble because they're texting do not call numbers, right? So my suggestion would be you call, you connect. Reality is this. I'm going to call Dan. He's going to say, I'm not interested. Thank you. I'm going to call him again a week later. I'm not interested. Thank you. I'm going to call him again 10 days from day 0. Again, Dan say, I'm not interested. Day 20. Look, you know what? Maybe 3 months from now. Day 30. Well, you know what? It looks like maybe we're looking at probably 4 months from now. This is what we're trying to do. Day 45. Yeah, you know what? We're thinking that we might do something soon. And all of a sudden, as you start following up, even after they told you no, it's in your approach and the questions that you're asking to find their motivation. Once they tell me, Tristan, I'm thinking of doing something. Dan, do you mind if I follow up with you and just see when that would be? I'm not going to spam you. I'll just text you and I'll email you my information. Yeah, Tristan. Then I text. Then I email. And then I mail. I need to communicate with Dan first. I need to communicate with the consumer because then it becomes really spammy. And then what happens? People like Dan, the consumer, they come and they say, well, all agents are car salesmen. They suck, right? And I don't want to be categorized as that. It's my duty as an agent to elevate our industry. And if we don't start with the simplest things, we fail, right? So Nikita, sorry, a bit off topic. Guys, I have a question. Would you start farming in an area of 2,400 houses with flyers? Call me today for a free evaluation of property. Is a good time to do that? For farming, depends on the area. 2,400 is too big. I'd start with 500 and I'd really expand it to a little bit more, giving a lot more value than find the value of your home. I'd really be a little bit more creative to see what else you can give in regards to your value, something that's different. But 2,400 is too big. I started farming and door knocking and I started with an area that was 6,000 homes. And I wish I started at 500. So start off at 500, get a grasp of it, make sure that you're dropping off something. And more importantly, who was that? More importantly, Nikita, when you're dropping off something, if you're at the door, Dan, I'm giving you something. And I say, hey, Dan, look, I'm just passing by in the area. I live close by. If you do, Nikita, I'm not sure if you do. The point is after you're done and you engage with them, you get their email address and you send them or put them into a newsletter. That's the key. Get their email address. Rona, what percentage of people answer the phone that you can talk to? Rona, that all depends on what time you're calling and who you're calling. For sale by owners, for the most part, will pick up over 80% because they want to sell their home and they usually return the call. Even if you're a real estate agent, that's the truth. Now, when you're looking at expireds, new expireds, if you're calling within the first, like I said, 30 minutes, you have a good shot at it. If you're calling after, they're never going to call you back, and they're probably never going to pick up the phone within the first week because they're just bombarded. They've blocked every realtor that's called. They put their phone on mute. I mean, can you imagine getting 100 calls in about 7 hours? That would piss me off, right? Like, what the hell? So it depends on who you're calling and when you're calling. Mr. Zylik, or I can't say that one, Dana. Let's see. If the number is listed in Espresso Agent, does that mean they are not on the do not call list? And what we can do, there's a little thing that says that it's do not call, so you're fine. Could you do another role play for sale by owners and expireds? What time do we have? We got a little bit of time, Dan. We're good. Aren't most canceled still under contract? No, canceled are not under contract. That's withdrawn. We do not call withdrawn in the state of California. Withdrawn means they're still under contract. Check with your area. Karen, I'm on the do not call list and get 50 calls. I know. Isn't that scary? I hate that. I'm surprised anyone asked that. Yeah, it sucks. Nick, can you please post expired script? For everybody on this call, because we're running out of time, I will email you once this is recorded and edited. I'll email you this, and then I'll send you the scripts. Do no door knocking now. Yeah, that's tough, door knocking now during COVID. How far back do you go for old expireds? We go far back. I had my team calling 4 years back. And so the sweet spot for me is about a year. That's the sweet spot because the market's changed enough for us to be able to make a difference. And so that for me is a sweet spot. And the cool thing is Espresso gives you some of that old data there, which I love. When do you start implementing? Junkie, great question. How are you? I didn't know you were on here. When do you start implementing AM cards? If I have a conversation with Dan, I start implementing it right there because I've been calling since 2004. So based on my conversation with him, I know, you know what? Dan said he's never going to list, but chances are he is. So I'm going to put him on the 12-month campaign. But if I have a conversation with Dan and says, look, Tristan, maybe, but I'm not sure, he's going to list. At least that's what I think. And it sounds like he's going to list quicker rather than later. So I put him on the urgent one. That's how I determine. Great question. Diane, Tristan, you should do coaching program with FSBO. Yeah, you know what? Everything we give is for free, but stay tuned. Paul, how far back you go back for expireds? You can go as far back as you want. Just depends on the data that you get. That's an Espresso Agent question. So what I would do is I'd probably register for Espresso, get some information there, and they can send you all that good stuff. Thank you for your scripts and approach. Digital door knocking, any idea? Yes, Maisha. It's called Dynamic Ads for Real Estate. It's through Facebook, digital door knocking. Also IP addresses, you can definitely do that. Look up YLOPO, YLOPO, best way of doing it. Thank you for scripts. Thank you so much. Thank you for scripts. Have you heard of, I love Vulcan 7. Look, guys, Vulcan 7's awesome. I just happen to use Espresso. It's just laid out better for me. That's all. Thank you for sending all scripts, sister. Your delivery sounds natural, not canny. Thank you, Michael. That is what I'm shooting for. 100%. I'm 100% genuine. I hate canned crap. I don't even like spam, the actual canned spam. Dan, what do you think? Guys, I think we have all of your email addresses. Nikita, thank you for your webinars. Thank you. Is AM better than send out cards? Loretta, yes, AM cards is better than send out cards. Better quality. The drips work better. Just much better. Hey, Tristan, are you able to send the link on how you have Trello set up? I have a video on that, guys. If you, hold on. Dan, I'm going to check right now on YouTube really quick. Answer, what's the next question we've got on there while I look for this?
Let's see.
Because I have this Trello video that I did a few years back, and obviously we're still doing it this way. So I'm going to scroll into our YouTube page, which is Lab Coat Agents YouTube. And I think it was one of the original videos that I did. Here, hold on. Expireds and Trello.
We will be sending out a recording. Yep.
Yep, we'll send in a recording, guys. You know, and if I can't find that recording, no, I can't find it on Trello. Guys, we ran out of time. I just want to thank you for being on. And Devin Cobb, I got kicked out of Facebook group a few years ago. Devin, message me. Guys, thanks for being on. I appreciate you. Do me a favor. Sign up for Espresso Agent. It's a great time to be calling for sale by owners. A great time to be testing out how to call expireds. Remember, put in a lot more heart right now. A lot less canned, a lot less sell, a lot more heart. Dan, thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
That was great, man. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all.